Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and really, thank you very much for your support. This platform is completely and fully dedicated to your success because you're bold, you're brave, you dare greatly, you solve problems, you collaborate, you're making the world a better place. I say that all the time, but I believe it in my heart. All right, in the hot seat, Jon Clay. He's the VP of Threat Intelligence at Trend Micro, and it is a barn burner conversation. You need to listen to it because it's all around cybersecurity, but Jon never disappoints. Let's get cracking with the conversation. Yes, we need more conversations around cybersecurity. Yes, we do. That's an important topic. If you're in the world of digitally transforming your business, you need to focus in on cybersecurity. And I can't think of a better company than Trend Micro that will help you along with that journey. And they've been around for a long time. They've seen it all. And you need it. You need to really sort of take notes. All right, a couple of points of business. One, you go out to Industrial Talk, which you'll have all the contact information for Jon and others. We have a series called the Industrial Revenue Growth. I think that's what it's called. I think it is. It's a series, as you can say. It's hot off the press, so I needed to think more through the topic. However, it is out there. It is free, and it is the Industrial Revenue Growth series. And we provide an overview. Just go out there. It's just easy peasy. It's on demand. It's sort of like the Netflix of industry. So we talk an overview of what we're looking at. We're also talking about that corporate strategy, why it's important. We talk about marketing. We talk about the technology. And we talk about sales. And this is all about increasing revenue. It is many in the world of manufacturing, the world of industry, we are hyper-focused, which we need to be, hyper-focused in how we can gain and extract greater value out of that manufacturing process, out of that industry, out of that, whatever it might be, and have that insights into, your operations, because it's important. We need to take that same just focus on that whole sales and revenue cycles. There are so many components, and tighten that up. And we have a great conversation with Ed Marsh. And again, it's a 5-part series. It's on demand. You just sort of sign up and you just fire it up. If you are awake at 1 a.m. and you're saying, gee, I wish I knew more about the technology that exists out there in sales, well, you just sort of fire that up and you listen to it. That's on demand, baby, and that's what the world we live in. The Netflix of industry right there. We're going to have a lot more, but that's the first one, because I think today, more than ever, we've got to be keenly focused in surviving and increasing revenue and figuring out ways of doing that and how to automate it, how to be more efficient at it, and think differently, think outside the box. Right here, Industrial Talk is all about that. Also, FabTech. Yep, we're broadcasting from FabTech. That is November 8th. That's right around the corner. November 8th through the 10th, and Atlanta, Georgia. We have a booth. We're going to be doing our industrial speed dating, which that means we just grab a camera and we go to your booth and we start chirping about the technology that you have there and why it's so cool, why it's so fantastic, why it's so needed. And that's about 4 minutes. And then we're going to have a broadcast booth, and we're going to be talking to people a little bit more extensive on why they're there, what's the technology, all important, all insights into why manufacturing is so cool. How about that? But we're going to be at FabTech. So if you are at FabTech, I don't even know what booth I'm on. If you are at FabTech, you gotta look me up. Let me see. I'll have it out there on Industrial Talk. I can't remember. It starts with an A, and I think but look us up, man. We're going to be at that booth. If you've got your booth there, and if you want to have a conversation, a live broadcast like we did at IMTS or SMRP, or what we're going to be doing over in Barcelona, yeah, you need to look us up and have that conversation. All right, let's get on with the chat. Jon Clay, Threat Intelligence, and I want to make sure you understand. We've got to have more of these conversations. We've got to have that cyber conversation and help everybody, succeed in this world, especially the digital transformation. And so this is why this conversation is so cool. And Jon he doesn't. And we go to the same barber, so he's got to be cool. And he's good looking, just like me. Just good looking, bald, good looking. But anyway, he doesn't disappoint, and he definitely knows what's going on. So enjoy the conversation with Jon. Jon, welcome back to Industrial Talk. Thank you very much for, time in your schedule. I like having this conversation. We're going to be chirping we're going to be riffing on, I don't like chirping. We're going to be riffing on cybersecurity, impact on industry, whatever comes to mind, because we can, and that's how we roll. How you doing?
I'm great, Scott. Always enjoy talking with you. We have a great time on these. So I look forward to this one and maybe future ones for sure.
Oh, you better. And if you're on video, you'll notice that we look the same. I just have a beard. Just look for Scott with the beard. That's me. There he is. It's creepy.
Taking off my disguise, Scott.
It is. Oh my gosh, it's Jon. Jon. So anyway, thank you very much again. I really appreciate it. And I think that given all the conferences that I've been to and all of the individuals and the industries that I've spoken with, there is, again, the topic of cybersecurity. We want to go down this road of digitally transform, automate, whatever it is to try to be more efficient. But that in essence is a recipe for, vulnerability from a cyber perspective, penetration. If you're not just sort of thinking about it, you're just like going down the road. And so with that said, I think that it would be great to sort of see where we're at today, where it's going, and just sort of do that. So with that said, what are you seeing some of the trends that are taking place within industry?
Yeah, we certainly are moving into Industry 4.0, right? Which is a more connected industry. Everything is going to be connected, devices connected. Your manufacturing lines will be connected. Whether your OT network is connecting to your IT network these days, because it makes it a lot easier and more manageable for the organization, right? If you can do remote monitoring, remote maintenance, all of that makes things much easier for the business to run their organization and run their lines. So I think, as we move forward, Scott, I was on a talk earlier today. We were talking about 2030. So we're talking future stuff. Somebody thinks I'm a futurist for some reason and got me on this thing. But man, you can see cyber physical coming into play, right? Where you're going to have stuff embedded in your bodies, and then you're automating the plants and everything. So the challenge, obviously, Scott, is what that ends up doing, as we've seen in the history, is that the attack surface just grows more and more and more, right? So as new technologies come into play, that's a whole new attack surface for these bad guys out there that can take advantage of them and exploit them. So, what we need to do, though, obviously, is as we are building these new devices, building this new technology and capability, we always got to have in the back of our mind, what are the risks associated with it? If a bad person or a malicious actor or a nation state actor group gets access to it.
But outside of the fact that every time I have a conversation with you, I don't want to leave my office and I want to curl up, just because you keep pointing out some really interesting, like, new attack surface. That's a new term for me, which makes complete sense. I have a wonderful word picture in my head about that. The other thing is when you start talking about as we become more connected, like you spoke about people becoming more connected, right? I don't want to be hacked personally, but what? So really,
well, I mean, if you think also about it, Scott, we're going into a global recession, and one of the aspects of a global recession is usually you decrease headcount, unfortunately, right, for those people. But what we're starting to see is a lot of these businesses are starting to automate, and they're putting in robots, and they're putting, you've been to all these shows where you're probably seeing these robotics that have improved obviously over the years, and they're going to continue to improve. Elon Musk had his robot on stage and walking and everything. So I think that's going to be obviously an area that moves forward. But the nice thing also is people say, well, they're going to take our jobs, but the reality is that you're going to have other types of jobs that come into play for the humans. You're always going to have technicians. They're going to have to go and fix those robots when they break, reprogram the robots. All of that is going to build. And in fact, I think it actually increases people's ability to grow themselves and grow their incomes, because these are higher paying jobs and typically that you get that where they're replacing some of the more unskilled labor type of.
See, it was always interesting when I have those conversations. You're absolutely spot on. I agree with you 100%. I wish I was younger, because I mean, really, the world is your oyster. If you can repair this automation in some way, shape, or form, make it more efficient, whatever, and be engaged, your career is bright because it's happening. How do you address the vulnerability of all of this connected, machines? Like we briefly touched upon CNC machines. They're every bit as connected, and they're getting more connected. How do we create a workforce that's constantly learning and educating? Because the majority of us, me included, will always gravitate to the shiny. We'll always gravitate to something, but I don't think about the vulnerability side. How do you sort of bring that into light?
Yeah, I think the first step, Scott, is really to understand what could happen, right? So we talked about earlier, I said, you got to understand that these nation state actors or malicious actors will target these OT networks and industrial controls because the motives obviously are changed. So there's a couple of things that we hear about, right? Is what's their goal, end game of targeting these things? So a couple of areas we talk about 5 Ds, right? So it's disrupt, disable, deny, deceive, and or destroy. So that's what you got to start thinking about when you have an OT network or ICS devices or robots, whatever it might be. You have to start thinking about which one of those Ds could potentially target me, right? So if it's disruption, for example, it's probably some kind of a extortion type of attack, because I want to disrupt your process. And if I can disrupt that process and bring it down and you can't run your business, and they ask you, hey, I'll give us $10 million to get it back and running, you may be interested in paying that. Deny, if I want to deny access to something, again, it depends on the motive and who's targeting. Many cases, it's, nation states, for example, you're probably going to see more of the deny and or destroy activities from nation states than you're going to see disrupt. Disruption and disabling usually is going to be in context with the revenue people, people that want profit, whereas deceive, destroy, deny are going to be more likely more nation states that are wanting to do more harm.
Yeah, I'm writing all this down just because I want to get the 5 Ds. And now, in no particular order, I was hanging on every word. Disrupt, deny, destroy, disable, deceive. Whatever.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, and so, once they decide who they want to target, then the next step comes into play is to start collecting intelligence about those different systems and what is at play. And there's a couple of things that these actors can do there. There's a lot of open source research. I mean, as you know, Scott, a lot of the vendors of these devices out there, they put their user guides and everything online. So you can learn about how to do things, how to change the configuration just by reading the instruction manuals that are all in open source out there. You also, we're starting to see more insider threats. So the actors are recruiting insiders, disgruntled employees, malicious employees. They're even hiring people into the business whose sole purpose is to do malicious activities. So they get a job inside the company. And then the other area that they can gather intelligence is from the enterprise network itself. So if I target the IT network, I can go in there and, all these companies have documentation about their processes, about what products they're using. All of that is going to be in data inside the corporate network. And so they can go in and steal that information. And then obviously they do their education at that point and figure out what to do.
How do you keep ahead of all of this? If I was just a mom and pop manufacturer, small to mid-size, whatever it might be, how do I keep ahead of this? What's the practical steps? Because hey, I want to be more efficient. I want to take advantage of this Industry 4.0 digital transformation juggernaut. But what is your recommendation? How do you help? I mean, where do you start? I don't even know.
Education obviously is the first step. The good news is I think CISA and some of the U.S. government agencies have put out a lot of good information about protecting ICS and OT networks. And you can go to private industry like Trend Micro, for example. We do a lot of education. We talked CNC, right? We just published a research paper on CNC, which is computer numerical controlled devices. Right there. All the different information. We've got videos on the landing page that you can follow and listen to if you don't want to read the whole report. That we even show attacks targeting a CNC device. So education is probably first and foremost. The second step, Scott.
But I'm going to interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you right now, the education that's available out there, for me, it goes right over my head. That's one. Two, I'll fall asleep. So I fall asleep. Is there a way of being able to educate on this topic that can be consumed by me, Joe Sixpack?
Yeah, I mean, Scott, that is one of the challenges, obviously. And, you might look at YouTube because there's a lot of people that do webinars and they post that stuff on YouTube, and you might try to find, OT attack 101 type content that can give you some of the, somebody will obviously has probably already put it out there, some of the just generalized information but then you'd probably at some point you want to call in experts, consultants or vendors that can help you.
And then that brings about another thing that I'm already stressed because you use multi-syllable words in this doggone cyber world, right? That's one. And a lot of this stuff so I'm already stressed there, but I know it's important. I got to find somebody to trust. I mean, there's a lot of shingle people out there saying, hey, we're into cybersecurity. Well, we'll protect that. Yeah. And I'm not trying to impute anybody, but there's
one of the challenges we've had, Scott, take an example of the cloud. Cloud infrastructure, right? So Amazon and Microsoft Azure, AWS Azure, that has come on strong over the last number of years, right? And one of the first things that we found out very early on is that you can't take traditional cybersecurity products and just uplift them into that environment and think they're going to work. We actually had to develop and build native controls for that environment. And I think the same thing we're starting to see happening in the OT, ICS, area, because organizations they already have some of this cybersecurity stuff, and they think, oh, we can just drop it in to an OT network and it'll be fine. Not a chance. It's a unique environment that requires specialized tools, just like these manufacturers, they have to use specialized tools for a lot of what they do. The same is true with software, and the same is true with cybersecurity. You do need some specialized tools. So I think, and that's where, again, it gets a little challenging, especially for a mom and pop who probably don't have the knowledge, nor the skill set, nor the probably budget to deal with this. And that's where I start talking about more on the MSP, managed service provider type of model, where you actually hire a company and they manage everything for you. They implement it, they monitor it for you, they take the actions for you, and your job is to run your business, not run your cybersecurity. And that's where I think we're going to be seeing in the future some more growth areas, because again, these companies just don't have the skills and the knowledge and the budget to manage it all themselves. And so you bring in the experts and let them do it.
See, I like that approach, and I think that many companies in multiple areas that have to sort of address that managed model, because if I'm a manufacturer and I have to maintain my assets, but I don't have people on board, there are companies that can provide that ability to maintain those assets. The same thing can exist within the cyber area, and I think that like a we'll go here. You just, again, are there standards? Let's say if I'm an MSP, whatever, right, and I provide that security capability, that how would I go about evaluating the quality of that organization?
Yeah, that's a good question, Scott. Unfortunately, there's no like UL rating for these firms. You can go and look at data from some of the third parties that may put out information. So like Gartner, for example, has a lot of their quadrant on different areas. There might be one for MSPs, and you can see who's in the top quadrant. The challenge with that is a lot of MSPs are small mom and pop shops. They're actually small businesses supporting the local economy, the local business set. And so you're probably going to have to go and do some due diligence in terms of finding those local ones. But then there are definitely some bigger vendors in this space that do more of a regional and then maybe even a country level aspect. But those tend to be a little bit pricier and maybe a little bit more challenging, I think, to work with. But they also, though, are probably more sophisticated in their controls, and they have the people and technology that is needed to deal with this. But again, maybe start small and then work your way up if you don't find what you want.
Yeah, if I was a manufacturer, I would try. Just, I'm thinking through it, because why not? I might as well put that hat on. I would want to get a baseline, right? As much as I don't want to see it, right? I would want to get sort of a general overview of that quality of my security layer, or whatever it might be, and be able to sort of have that clarity, so then I can sort of think through an avenue to achieve. But do you agree? It's like, whether you like it or not, that's a tough one, but you do need to have that insights into your network.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we're starting to see regulations coming out. You're starting to see a number of policies that are coming out of the U.S. government, for example, in this space. So a lot of those are tied to U.S. government networks and stuff, and have not been applied out to the private industry yet. But you'll probably start seeing that happening. So again, educating yourself and looking at some of those controls that the U.S. government is putting in place might be a good idea to start bringing into your business early, because if you don't, you might get caught off guard when some law or something comes in, or regulations comes into play.
So I'm out on your website, trendmicro.com. Of course, she sent me the link to that CNC, which is
you should see a research button at the top, and if you do that pull down, that's where all of our research is. And we do tons of research on industrial IoT. We've had over the years, we've done stuff on cranes, we've done stuff on agriculture, and the devices used in those places. It's fun to see. Just massive amounts.
Yeah. And so from my perspective, I could go to Trend Micro, I can root around, I can do the little drop down. I'm on it. I can see the resources. It's all there. And I can just begin that journey or do a little search and then find maybe some targeted content.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Because we can't make it hard to find the information. We can't make it difficult to understand the information. And if you make it in such a way that people are saying, oh, I see the picture, I'm painting that picture in my head, I could go the next level, right? It's a journey in that sense. And then realize that there's going to be a point where saying, okay, I'm educated. Now I got to find somebody to collaborate with, trust, to be able to. But the reality is, if you're in the digital transformation, you see the value. You're pulling data off of equipment. You're trying to improve the quality, whatever that strategy is. That's all about being connected, and that is all about how do you protect yourself from nefarious behavior. All right, listeners, we're going to wrap it up. We've got 5 Ds out there. We've got some strategies around who they want to target. And I think, from my perspective, from a simple perspective, I think that if I would go to trendmicro.com and find out some research, there's a great place to educate. I think that's I think the parting shot is you're not alone. There's some good trusted people out there, companies, resources, and it's all there. And you have to, whether you like it or not, you have to do it. You have to figure it out.
And Scott, Trend Micro, we formed a company called TX1, whose sole purpose is to look into the IT, OT, ICS areas and figure out how to protect them. And so they're already producing products that are very simple and easy to use and can help an organization out there. So, we continually invest in innovation and continually invest in people and technology. So I think, like you said, they're not in it for themselves or by themselves. They have trusted partners that come through like us at Trend Micro.
Yeah, see, and I do like that. And granted, I mean, Trend Micro, you better be in it. You better continue to sort of research because it doesn't stop out there.
We've been in it for 34 years, Scott, and we'll continue for the next 34 years. And one thing we know, we dedicate ourselves just on security, cybersecurity. We don't buy other companies that aren't in cybersecurity like some of our peers have done, but we'll continue to do and fight the good fight out there and try to keep the attackers out of your networks.
Yeah, I like that. That's a noble cause. I do. I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and because I'm all into the innovation and the technology and how that is going to help us be better manufacturers or industry, whatever it might be. But the reality is, we got to protect it. We got to make it frustrating to penetrate those, OT.
Exactly.
Please, make it hard. All right,
Scott, it was a joy. I enjoyed the conversation.
Excellent.
Let's do it again.
Heck yeah, man, John. That's John. Trend Micro's the company. We're talking about a lot of cyber stuff. We're going to have all the contact information for John as well as the 5 Ds, so fear not. It'll be out on industrialtalk.com. We're going to wrap it up on the other side. Thank you very much for joining. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk. And boy, I'll tell you, I really like talking to John. He knows his cyber stuff out there. And again, Trend Micro and Team Trend Micro, fingers on the pulse. If you're in the digital transformation game, which you should be because everybody else is, and if you're not, you better look into that. You need to secure that network. And I'm telling you right now, you need to reach out to John or Team Trend Micro. You can navigate those waters, get the answers you need. Go out to Industrial Talk, all the contact information. Don't come chirping to me and say, I can't get a hold of John. You can, and you must, and have that conversation. It's painless. Come on, it's painless. All right. We have that sort of Netflix approach to industry education. And we're all about making you succeed or figuring out ways of making you succeed and giving you the information to be able to do that. And so we have that industrial revenue growth series. There's going to be more. And this is with a great professional called Ed Marsh. And we have some handouts out there. We've got stuff that you can just start getting engaged and sort of taking an assessment of your business and then figuring out a roadmap so that you can ensure some resiliency in the future. That's right. Go out, Industrial Talk, click on it. Yes, I have to ask for your email because if you want to watch it at 2:35 in the morning for whatever reason, you can. There you go. I need it. I need to send that email link to you. That's it. Nothing fancy, nothing too big. All right. Go out, find more. All right. Hang out with Jon. You know I always say this. Be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Jon is somebody you need to hang out with because you're going to change the world. We need you to change the world. We need you to be successful. Thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk. And as you know, we're going to have another great conversation of another professional right around the corner. So stay tuned. We will be always there for you.